Hello, hello, hello. This is Tom from Tom and Ruth Philippine Adventures. Can you hear it? That's rain. That's what it sounds like on this house, rain, instead of pop, pop, popping. I like it, actually. Today we're going to talk about two stories. We got, hold on, we got Peter and we got Steve. They told me not to put their last names in. So we got Peter and Steve today. So these two stories coming up are quite interesting. Stay tuned. I should call these life stories. Really, I should. We got two stories today to talk about, two situations here in the Philippines. I'll go with the easier one first. I hope you can hear me fine. I had to go get my glasses. I was looking at this and I go, I can't see. Crazy. Oh man, huh? Okay, I'm in the bedroom. Me and Omer's inside here. But anyway, we're going to talk about these two guys, Peter and Steve. Peter is is someone that got married. Been married 8 years. They've been here 2 years in the Philippines when they first got married. Then they take off, go back to USA after 2 years. And they've been in the USA for a period of time. For the total of 6 years, so a total of 8 years they've been married. Well, she got involved with, he said right after about a year or so, they got involved with a group of girls. They're the Filipino American group. And what happened, she kind of met someone else. And apparently it's been going on for quite a few years, this relationship that she had with this other American. And he was married to a Filipina, but they got a divorce. But him and his wife were still together. So, long story short, basically, she left him for this other guy. And he says, as far as he knows, they're still together. But anyway, it ended up costing him a lot of money. So his dilemma is please reach out to you guys and tell them, make sure that you find someone that really loves you for who you are, not about your money. And loves you that, of course, you don't have a crystal ball. You don't know if someone's going to go there and they're going to stay. And so he said, I was really discerning to me is, how do I handle that situation? I did the best I could. I was always there. We really rarely fought, he said. Of course, I'm only hearing his side of the story. But long story short, his main purpose of telling me this today is that he wanted to let everybody know that make sure that you actually do all your red flags, if you have any red flags. He said he really didn't have any red flags, but something that kind of bothered him. He thought that before they got married that she was actually seeing a couple other guys. And it kind of came out in a conversation with her sister. He kind of let it go, but later on he confronted her about it, the sister. And she said, yeah, she had 2 relationships, so she's talking to you. He said, so it's 3 relationships. He said, yes, they had 3 relationships. He said, why didn't you tell me? After I married her, it cost me thousands and thousands of dollars, a house. Why didn't you tell me these things? And she says, it's my sister. So he says, just reach out to the guys, tell them to make really sure that if they see any kind of red flags, they can always wait to get married another year. They can always wait 2 years to get married. If she's going to be true, she's going to stay with you all the way. So he said, if you have a situation where it's like that, he says, just make sure that she's going to be there. He said, if you have to, just say, okay, we'll get married next year. Next year rolls around. Let's see how things go. Let's wait another 6 months, a year, and just see how it goes, because you never know. So that was his story. Now we have Stephen. Stephen's story is this. He's been in the Philippines about a year. Well, let me say this. No, it was pre-COVID. So he's been here 2 years and change, 3 years, almost 3 years, he said. All right, so he's been here. And he's married. He's contented. They're contented. Everything seems to be fine. The only thing that he's having a problem with, he said, is that I'm having a problem here with, I'm bored. I want to go back to U.S. Now, here's the situation. She really does not want to go to the U.S. She wants to stay here with her family. She just doesn't want to leave her family. He said, I'm at a dilemma. So he talked to her about it long and hard, and finally they figured out, from what he says here, that they're going back to USA. This will be her first time going. So right now, as it seems, they're going to head back. And I asked him in email, what is your intentions and why are you headed back? And what is your purpose of heading back? What is your reason? He said, I'm heading back because I'm bored. Food's an issue for him. He's fine apparently where he lives. He's like a lot of us are having a problem finding beef, and a lot of the things that they're used to getting in U.S. you can't really find here. He said even the condiments sometimes are. They don't even know what a mustard is, or a good ketchup or relish. They don't understand what that is. And said it's just hard for him. It was really raining, so that's the rain we get every day. So he said what they're trying to do is make sure that this move is going to be right for them. And he says, I'm not really sure my wife is prepared for that. And I said, well, what can I say? I don't know. It's between you and her. And I think realistically, in thinking about this and talking about this, and I think what people should really think about is you should have these really hard talks in the beginning. Ruth and I had these hard talks. We still have hard talks about it. When we're going, what we're going to do, when we get there, what kind of problem's going to be. It's like, and I have another friend that just got his wife there. She's been there about 9 months, and she thinks it's just shopping. She's into shopping every day. He said, I can't break her from it. He said, my credit cards are maxed. I said, well, tell her, turn off the car. So that's what he did. He turned off the car. And she's angry at it. He says, we're on budget. We live life. This is not coming from the Philippines, you're poor, and then going to USA, think you're rich. Get back to Stephen. Stephen said that he's bored, meaning that he's done the mall thing. He's been to the mall a couple thousand times, he said. No, 1,300 times. I'm tired of going to the mall. I'm tired of sitting at Starbucks. I'm tired of sitting at Coffee Bean. I'm tired of walking around the mall. So we'll go to the other mall. I'm tired of eating at Jollibee, Chow King, and the other restaurants. I can do that in U.S. and it's better food. He said the hamburger here is not really hamburger at Burger King, McDonald's, and I'm having a hard time deciding whether or not I need to stay here or go. And we pretty well decided that we're going to go back to U.S. Being in the U.S., we're going to have better things that are going to be easier for us, meaning that I won't have to pay $3 to $4 for a small hamburger at McDonald's. I know prices do vary a lot depending on what it is. They vary a lot wherever you're at. I mean, McDonald's here, you think the same price, but not always. Even though the franchises is supposed to be the same. All right, so he said, I'm going to go back. He's going back. He's bringing his wife with him. They don't have any children or anything. And she doesn't have children. They don't want children. They're still young. They're in their, young. I say young, meaning in the 40s and 50s. So he retired early, military. So they're going back. Now, is that something? People have to make their own choice what they want to do, right? And I do have to say, sometimes that you can find it being bored to a certain thing, because you go to the mall. Now, these malls, what it is they're owned by these big conglomerates, and sure, they have sales in them, and sure, there's things, but there's no seating at the malls. When you go to the mall, you just go to walk and do your shopping, go to eat, and based on the time you're sitting is when you eat, and then you get up and you walk. There's no chairs in the aisles. They do have what they call child seats. It's just a round donut, it's hard as a rock, and people sit on them. Usually those are full. Usually they're full of kids and families. But there's really no seating at the malls. And even I noticed that when I was in Manila, we stayed in Manila, there was no seating. Even in Cebu, there was no seating. What am I saying? There's no seating anywhere. Davao, there was no seating. In fact, there's no seating anywhere that I've ever been, come to think of it. But I guess he's tired of that. So Stephen is heading back to USA, and he lives in Boston. And he said, he has to start all over because he sold everything. And he said, I'm willing to start all over. So They're going to live in an apartment for a while and until they figure out what they're going to do. Have to buy a car. You know, same situation. Even Ruth and I will find ourselves in when we go. We have to buy a car. We have to find a place to stay. We have to figure out where we're going to live, what we're going to do. Because, and I pretty well have 99.9% all that figured out. I'm just waiting, you know, until they do the visa. But it's just one of those situations. It's okay. It's something that we all have to deal with, you know, and we have to kind of plan out and deal with that. So I want to talk about these two guys today. They wanted me to do talk about them today on my stream, and I do get a lot of questions asked. You know, still same thing. How much money do I need to bring to the Philippines when I come? I'm not getting as much of people coming here questions. I'm getting more of the people that's living here questions. How do I get my bank? My bank's not working. My Social Security check is not being deposited, and it was fine the first 3 months. Things like that. Like I went to go get a licensed car and said you can't do it. I went to open up a bank account and said you can't do it. I went and did this, and so I get a lot of those questions now. Where before it was just constant, this many of what do I do when I get there? You know, I'm coming to the Philippines. What do I do? Cost of living and things like that. Where's the best place to buy a car? Where's the best place to live? Where's the most cheapest place to live? Should I try to find a province girl, a city girl? Those are the kind of questions I've got. Now it's completely changed the opposite. It's either contemplating on heading back, contemplating I've already gone back, and a lot of them gone back, and I still keep in contact with a few of them that say we're happy that we did. Not anybody's ever said they're unhappy that they did. They're not saying that they're unhappy that they went back, meaning that it was the wrong decision to make. The country is this, that. It's not that. It's all wonderful, you know. They're saying it's normal. I mean, I can remember, you know, and they tell me back in the 80s, the housing crash, and they're telling me all these things, but there's jobs available. And a good friend of mine recently, his wife got a job working at Chick-fil-A, and they started at $21 an hour on the front counter. Filipina, first job she ever had, never done it. Aced into, did the, you know, they have a small entrance exam thing going, those things, like Chick-fil-A. You know, check your math skills and your communication skills and, you know, what type of personality you have. And I guess she aced it. So anyway, 21 an hour start out Chick-fil-A. So shout out for her for that. And that's great to hear. So, and I know they're available. In fact, I've had a couple job offers sitting in my butt here in the Philippines of going to work there in the USA. So that's the story today. I want to thank everybody always for watching. Thank you so much. I know it's gotten on to 12 minutes, and I don't like to go on too long. Thank you. God bless everybody, and thank you always for your support.